with John Lennon of the Gen X's Beatles. Professor LSG is right here. The favorite of many, including me. Life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. Thank you very much. Let me also take this opportunity to introduce our chief guest of the day. I guess as students of management, you read business news and business newspapers, right? And if you read business news, she needs no introduction. I read about her in business news. And we are very fortunate to have Gayatri Yadav in our midst today, who accepted our invitation and traveled from Mumbai to Chennai to be with us this evening to speak to you. And Gayatri, I use her first name, is a seasoned marketing leader with deep domain expertise across consumer markets, digital platforms, and brand building initiatives. She brings extensive experience in crafting transformative marketing strategies, innovative campaigns, and leading initiatives that have delivered significant growth and elevated brand equity. Having held diverse leadership roles across globally recognized organizations such as Peak XP Partners, formerly Sequoia India and C, Disney Star India, General Mills, and having started her career in Procter & Gamble, Gayatri has demonstrated exceptional ability to blend creative storytelling, data-driven strategies, and consumer-centric approaches to deliver measurable results. Prior to joining Reliance, Gayatri led marketing at Peak XP Partners, formerly Sequoia India, where she played a pivotal role in the brand transition and in empowering its portfolio companies to build and scale world-class brands originating from the region. Gayatri served as President Consumer Strategy Innovation for Star India, where she led a series of high-impact marketing moves, including the network's launch of Star Sports, Hotstar, and the Nice Soch on Star Plus, which aimed to drive women's empowerment. Before Star India, Gayatri was a CMO for General Mills, where she launched and scaled the Pillsbury brand in India. She started her marketing career with Procter and Gamble. She is an MBA from the Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta. In her role as Group Chief Marketing Officer and Executive Vice President Strategic Initiatives, Chairman's Office at Reliance, Gayatri will work closely with with the Chairman, RF Chairperson Akash, Anand, and the entire EC and Isha to drive innovation, enhance brand impact, and deepen customer centricity culture. Well, this is her resume. To me, Gayatri represents the realized business acumen of the Indian women. Your presence truly elevates us and raises aspirations of our management graduates. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation. May I welcome you to come over and present your address to our graduating students.
Can you hear me at the back? Last row? Yes, awesome. So, Vanakkam, good evening to the esteemed faculty. Thank you. Proud parents. We should actually give an applause for all the parents. In fact, in every country, and especially in India, what would we be, right, without our parents? How many sacrifices have they had to bring each one of us to where we are? Yesterday was my father's 5th death anniversary, and I'm giving this as a tribute to him as well, and a tribute to all the parents in this beautiful tent in this amazing campus. I also want to most importantly welcome the graduating class of 2025. Let's give a huge applause. I can only imagine the hard work, the grit that each one of you have faced to get here. And this is the end of one journey, but it's also the beginning of the rest of your life. And I know that you will never forget this day. This is a very important day. You should feel very proud of what you've achieved, but even prouder of what you will go on to do. You will go on to shape the destiny of our country. And I feel honored that you have me in front of you to give you this address. So I wanted to start with a small story, which began 35 years ago, which is when I walked into IIM Calcutta, and I had just graduated from St. Xavier's College in English Literature. Now, that was an interesting leap because for those of you who know IIM Calcutta, and I believe there's some IIM Calcutta students, you want to raise your hands? Awesome, Joka. So you would know that IIM Calcutta is a very quantitative college. It was modeled on MIT, and everything was calculus. How many engineers in this room? Raise your hands. Okay, 90% are engineers, as I thought. And here I was, a literature student. I walked into IIM Calcutta, and there was going to be a quiz on calculus, which was going to happen that night. And I went to Debashish Datta Gupta, Debu, who's also an alumnus of IIT Madras. And he used to be JE rank 61. I remember that for some reason. And I went to him and I asked him, Debu, in dy by dx, why don't the d's cancel out? So he looked at me and he said, Gayatri, I don't think you should go for this paper. You know, just avoid it if you can. But of course, none of us can avoid the tests in our life. So I went for the paper and I didn't carry a pen. And remember, I was a topper and, had done pretty well in life to get to IIM Calcutta with a humanities background. And I didn't carry a pen and I said, I have nothing to contribute to this paper because there is no English. It's super interesting that now English is the hottest programming language in a world of LLMs, right? So, how life changes. And then later, who became my calculus tutor was another batchmate from IIT Delhi. And he taught me calculus, and then I later married him. So, calculus did lead to something good. And then happened to pass. And thankfully, did very well in the second year with marketing. So, didn't do too badly in life. But the reason I shared that story is yes, for comic relief, and yes, because as an IIT Madras connection with Debu, but also to tell you that life will challenge you. You ain't seen nothing yet. You think you've been through challenges, but the real challenges will come out and, will disrupt your life. And if I look at the choices I've made, whether it's humanities to IIM Calcutta, then I joined Procter and Gamble, and then I joined Pillsbury as the second employee. I was 4 years out of management school and I was made marketing head. I had to launch Atta with an American brand in an Indian market. That was a big challenge. Then I left FMCG just when I was getting comfortable in FMCG. We had launched Pillsbury, scaled Pillsbury, and I joined media. And everyone said, why are you joining media? You're a consumer packaged goods marketer. And I said, I really want to understand the power of storytelling to make a difference. And I joined Star TV. My first program that I worked on was Satyamev Jayate, which was all about, and God bless Amir and Uday Shankar and everyone we worked with. It was all about using the power of storytelling to create change. And I remember after we had launched Satyamev Jayate, we had gone to inaugurate a Satyamev Jayate Bhavan. And our first episode was on female feticide. We still have a challenge in our country of unborn daughters. And I remember we were encouraging parents that don't abort the child. if you have to give her up for adoption. And so I was attending an adoption camp and I held a baby girl in my arms, and I felt that if the show hadn't happened, she would not be alive. And that tells you the power of storytelling to make a difference. So I was part of Star from Satyamev Jayate to the launch of Star Sports, then to the launch of Hotstar, actually named Hotstar. That's a different story, which I won't get into now. And then, just as I was getting comfortable in media, I decided there's danger in the comfort zone. It was time to leave the world of media, and I got into the world of venture capital, which is all about technology and startups and entrepreneurship. And I joined Sequoia, which was later Peak 15, named after the Everest. And that was an amazing period in my life. And just as I was getting comfortable in venture capital, there's danger in the comfort zone. I joined Reliance. And Archimedes said, give me a lever and a platform on which to place it, and I will move the world. And I believe there is no greater platform for massive impact at scale than Reliance. In fact, Mukesh Bhai always says that what drives Reliance is this ideology of growth as life, that we must all, what's good for India is good for Reliance. And Reliance genuinely cares about making that difference. And that philosophy is there in everything the company does. So that's been my journey. And I wanted to tell you that you must be comfortable being uncomfortable. And every time you get into a comfort zone, ask yourself, am I learning? Am I growing? Am I having fun? And if the answer to any of them is no, you should reinvent yourself. And you will have to continuously reinvent yourself because that is the world we live in, right? We live in this world of artificial intelligence. McKinsey talks about India is going to add $5 trillion to its economy in the next few years. That's literally like doubling India, and every single sector is going to transform. And that is the world you're getting into, right? And I believe that today you must view AI not as a tool, but as a force. AI is a force that will reimagine every single sector, and you have to make this force your friend. I know a lot of you must be wondering, we were discussing in the faculty room, that what will be the impact of AI on the future of work? And I think none of us really have the answers. But I do believe we live in a world where having the answers is not as important as knowing what questions to ask. And that is something that is truly a human domain. You must master the art of asking the right questions. So a lot of students I meet tell me that they're afraid humans are going to become obsolete. And I would say that humans will never become obsolete. You are living in a world where human potential is finally being unshackled. I have this principle that says man should do what only man can do. Let us do what only we can do. Let's leave the rest for machines, right? And that is actually the opportunity that faces each one of us today, which is a massive opportunity. So you are not being replaced. You are being called to lead, right? And we talk so much about artificial intelligence, but today I want to talk about the other AI, and the AI that is so required in this world, what I called Atma intelligence, right? The intelligence of the soul. And that is actually our superpower as a nation. We're the youngest nation, but we are the oldest civilization. And embracing the power of the soul is your superpower, right? So I call it Atma intelligence, the intelligence that cannot and will not be coded. Atma, as you know, is the Sanskrit word for self. It is not your resume self. It is not your Instagram self or your Facebook self or your LinkedIn self. But this is the self beyond mind, body, or intellect. This is consciousness. And I would urge each one of you to be a witness in your life, be a sakshi, and try and spend time with yourself to understand your superpower, which is your consciousness, your Atma intelligence. So there are three principles I'm going to talk about, okay? The first is while AI looks outward, Atma looks inward, right? And there was Carl Jung. Who's heard of Carl Jung? I'm sure everyone. This famous philosopher, writer, said that he who looks outside dreams, but he who looks within awakens. We must, in this crazy busy world, and I work in a large company, as you know, and sometimes I look, everyone is running, and that's true for any organization. Everywhere I've worked, I think sometimes all of us get so driven to what I call activity-itis. And I keep telling my team, get off the treadmill because you're just running to stay in the same place. Sometimes, checklists and ticking things off and saying, okay, I've done this, I've done that becomes and means and ends in itself. But it's important to step back and reflect and really reflect within that. What do I really want, right? And I remember this story that I heard as a child that's always stayed with me. It's a story of a musk deer. So, as you know, musk is a beautiful perfume. So, this musk deer spent his entire life chasing, running in a forest, trying to understand what is the source of my fragrance. Where does this come from? Where's this beautiful fragrance coming from? Until he realized, just when he was about to die and he collapsed, that the fragrance was within him all the time. And I think this is so reflective of our lives that we seek outward validation when it's within you, right? It's what Rumi said centuries ago. Are you a drop in the ocean? Are you a drop in the ocean or are you an ocean in the drop? And if you reframe that, right? If you see yourself not as a drop in the ocean, but an ocean in the drop, that can change the way you see your life. When I first started working, I was used to at home, a very courageous father and grandfather. And when I started working, I realized there's so much fear. People are so afraid. In FMCG, the failure rate on products is 75%. Only 25% products succeed. But I felt if people were not afraid, that failure rate would be a much, much lower. People would speak up and say whether the market needs this product or doesn't need this product. But sometimes fear really holds people back from speaking up. But the minute you reframe it and see that I'm not a drop in the ocean, I'm actually this powerful ocean in a drop, you lose fear and you also understand your connection with others. You become more empathetic. So, my second principle, and there are only three, and we'll finish this fast, is artificial intelligence can compute, but only Atma intelligence can care, right? And in a world of AI, being human is a superpower and perhaps is the only flex. When I joined Star, I remember the security guard, the first day of joining Star, he came to me and said, welcome to Star, Gayatri Madam. And I looked at him and said, how do you know my name? Maybe HR really has their game right, that even the security guard knows my name and my first day. And he said, Madam, when you were in P&G 15 years ago, you used to wish me good morning and good evening every day. And 15 years later, he remembered that. So you must remember that there is nothing small, and how you make people feel is much more important than the way you make them think or what you make them do. They will never forget the way you make them feel. That is, that is a lesson I never forgot. Especially people who work for you, people, I see so many volunteers here, so many people in service. It's something that Satya Nadella calls servant leadership. To actually serve in leadership is what drives leadership, right? If you think of it, I come from the world of brands. There are two things we look at: love and respect. And it's easy sometimes to get love, And it's hard to get respect. But to get both love and respect, you have to be doing something right. And doing something right is 360. It's not just, oh, I'm like managing upwards, I'm managing my boss. How do you treat everyone who connects with you? That is what people will remember about you. Not your achievements may be great. I'm sure the world will remember them. But more than that, they will remember the way you made them feel. So we will come to now the third principle, which I'm sure you will guess, which is artificial intelligence is trained on data. Only Atma intelligence is guided by Dharma, right? So artificial intelligence is data, Atma intelligence is Dharma. My father used to tell me that all of us live our lives, we maximize a principle, right? Someone's principle maybe I want to be the most successful, someone's maybe like mine was I want to create impact at scale. He used to tell me, I just want to sleep well at night. That's it. And in the Gita, that's called Arjavam, which is live your life in alignment, right? Mind, body, spirit. And you will live a happy life, a peaceful life, a life of service, and a life where you will make a difference. As they say in yoga, yoga is what remains when the pose is over. So all of us must search for that larger why. Nietzsche said that he who has a why can endure anyhow. If you all have read the Gita, which I'm sure many of you have, that was Arjun's dilemma, right? When he goes to the battlefield, was should I fight this war? And Krishna tells him, by not fighting the war, because it's a war of righteousness, you are abdicating your dharma. So in life, you got to figure what is your North Star. And business is super hard because business, you're dealing with people, and people have egos, and people have challenges, and people have emotions, and you have to steer people to a larger goal. And there will be hard decisions you have to make. But if you are guided by your dharma, you can't go wrong. I used to always say, differentiation. Every marketer looks at differentiation, right? Create and communicate a difference. Then I joined Star and I said, actually, differentiation is not enough. Disruption. We got to create incredible change. And now I believe there's differentiation, there's disruption, but even more important is dharma. Because if you do disruption without dharma, it's pointless and it will not move the world forward. So that is the third principle that's super important. Now, I may give you all these principles, but as I said, life will challenge you. Krishna once asked someone, what is it that will make a sad person happy and a happy person sad? What's the answer? What will make a sad person happy and a happy person sad? This too shall pass. Amazing. Yeah, what's your name? Devang. Devang, the volunteer, got it. Amazing. That is true, right? So the point is everything will pass. Success will pass, failure will pass. But as long as you remember and stay in touch with what doesn't pass, which is your soul and your character, you will do well. So I'm going to wrap this by saying this is an incredible time. You know, I wish I was graduating today. In a sense, I am because I feel it's day one every day that you have to reinvent yourself every day. I think the world is looking for leaders with velocity and values, with confidence and compassion, with ambition and awareness, with clarity and character, right? Let AI be your speed, let Atma be your direction. In the dance of progress, we need both engine and the essence, right? Both are important. I was hearing Sam Altman. He said that there will be $1 billion company in valuation that will be built by a company of one person, right? And that's going to happen in the near future. So each of you could be a company. You could be building that next $1 billion company with a massive impact. That is the power of artificial intelligence that is there for you today. So AI is the ultimate leverage, but Atma is the eternal compass. Don't forget your direction and the compass as you move forward in the world. Go forward and serve the country, make your family and the institute proud, and most importantly, be happy and make a difference to yourselves and to the world. Jai Hind. Thank you.